Alright, so in this video, I'll be going over proxies and linking objects. And stand-in meshes, which are called proxies. In literal use, they are the same, but within common usage, they are not. It gets really confusing, so I'm going to be trying to use stand-in meshes instead of what I will show you in a moment. So let me just delete the basic cube and highlight it, if you've seen those videos, by Ian Hubert. Very good guy. I'm going to quickly link in, which is the same as creating a reference in Maya, an object. So I'm going to go to File, Link, and very quickly I'm going to try to figure out where I saved this object. My bad, I must apologize. Okay. So, let's see. Really? It's not here? Interesting. Okay, well then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly link in a character, as that is another important thing. So I've got this victim character. I'm going to press link, and you'll see something kind of odd. It doesn't link the entire file. You have to go through and select what you want to link individually. Blender files actually break down into a series of folders within them. And if you were to rename or unzip the Blender file in a very easy way that I can't remember right now because it's not common usage, you would see all of these folders within it. So I'm just going to click on Collection, going to click on the main collection and click Link. Now you can see that a fully rigged character has been placed. You can see in the outliner here, this collection has been placed within this other collection. You can see that the leg is a little bit weird, and that's because I incorrectly rigged it. And so the leg is twisting around. Now, the first thing that you'll notice after linking an object is that when selecting the object and moving it about, you can select it, you can scale, and you can rotate it. However, you cannot edit it, and I cannot go into pose mode or do anything within it. This is because this object is completely dependent on the base file, the victim character.blend file. As my lovely naming convention for personal assets continues, I will be using a much better system and a much more organized system. But this was for some. I'm not going to make excuses. It's really poor. So the way to get around this is to create something known as a proxy. A proxy is creating essentially a ghost version of the mesh or of the object that allows you to interact with it, even if you cannot edit it. This is a little bit different to Maya, but it should make sense after you use it once or twice. So if I right-click on this collection, go down, and go to, oh wait, I'm sorry. Was it? I've only used this a few times. I'm sorry, it was under Objects, under this Object menu up here, Relations, Make Proxy. These other ones have different uses. If you were to partially import or fully import the character from a linked state, that is known as making local. Making single user is slightly similar in a different sense, that in a more advanced sense that I won't get into now. Make proxy, when you click on this, it'll give you a whole collection of things. But if you, if you just click on the rig that you want to do, or, victim rig, it'll create a proxy of that rig and not the mesh. So now I can't select on or move the character, but the proxy, the now editable version of the rig, I can now hide the original collection. I apologize. Well, no, I'm sorry. I kept clicking on the initially collect thing. Anyway, in the outliner here, you'll see something called collection underscore proxy. This is the version, the essentially ghost version, that you can go into edit mode, and you can see that it's even more messed up. You can go into edit mode and you can edit and adjust as you will. And so forth. If I wanted to, I would have created a proxy of the character mesh, and I could add modifiers to it, if need be. However, for characters, this is not common usage. I'm now going to select on both of these, click right click, and go to unlink. And you can see the objects are removed from the scene and they are removed from the collection. This means it is completely gone from here, and so forth. If I was to go to File, Append, and navigate back to the same area, that is as if you were importing the character. And it is a destructive action, so that if any edits are made to the original mesh, it does not get applied to whatever mesh you appended. Linking instead of appending is important, as we'll be making and modifying assets as we go along in a non-destructive fashion. I will have a video out later describing the pipeline overview. So I'm going to quickly open our recent file. This recent file is just something I quickly prepared in advance. Not tree creature, I'm sorry. Tree test, yes. Don't save. Don't worry about that window. That was just preferences because I didn't exit out of it before. And you can see this slightly disgusting looking object. This is a stand-in mesh, and if I was to turn the proxify, if I was to turn off the stand-in mesh plugin off, then you can see that you get the original asset. This original asset could have textures, it could have all sorts of things applied to it, but when you turn on the stand-in mesh, it turns into a low-resolution version. This green painting was due to a test I did earlier. These can be imported into new scenes, and if you create a proxy of this object, you'll have the full functionality of stand-in meshes. Now, if I press this is important because in animation we want to decrease the amount of lag or load on the CPU of the animator as possible. But you can turn off things individually so that you see the original objects if you so wish. So if you had a character that wanted to stand up next to the tree and lean up against it, then you can turn it off and you can have the character lean up against the tree. For all other trees, such as in the background, so if I was to create instances of the tree by pressing Alt-D to instance, I can also press Shift-D to create a destructive copy, then we don't have to, Then we don't have to worry about the CPU strain of all of this high poly mesh over and around here. If I go into material preview mode, you'll see that they're still the same. However, if I go into rendered mode, and if I was to add a light, to make it easier to see, you can see that all of these trees were placed around. And they were placed around in the same place as the stand-in mesh. This is just to increase performance. Alright, I believe that's the end of this video and this series. Thank you very much for listening so far, and please note that all of these concepts will be expanded upon when I create videos for your specific tasks. Thank you again for showing interest in this project, and now that we have all these groups together, let's get this show on the road, baby. This is gonna be a fun project, even if it's gonna be difficult. I want to make sure that everybody learns as much as possible. Thank you again for watching until the end of this.